Welcome to our Tuesday night shiur. As the rabbi was very adamant this week that we shouldn't miss 1 week, and rightfully so. We're upon Matan Torah. In a couple nights, all of us will be standing in Har Sinai. Kipshuto mashma'o. Really, it is exactly that way. I hope everybody can hear me. It's very hard because I can't see anybody and I can't hear anybody. So if anybody has any issues, please, you can unmute yourself, and I'll allow you to do that to let us know if you can't hear me or if there's other sounds. What I want to do tonight is, obviously we all know the importance of where we're about to go into. This is really our whole entire life, is Matan Torah. Everything that a Jew stands for relies on this night. And many of us, we have trepidation when it comes to Rosh Hashanah. And then Shavuot is really the Rosh Hashanah of the soul. Rosh Hashanah is the Yom Adin, it's the day of judgment of the body. But Shavuot is the day of judgment of the soul. Because really, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to judge us on Shavuot night on how much spirituality that we're about to get for the rest of the year. And we know that the Pasuk says, Kol motzai motzei chayim, that whoever finds me finds life. And really, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is putting us in the book of life from a spiritual sense. So we know that this is the night that we call the shiur. This is the night that HaKadosh Baruch Hu waits for every single year. And I want to delve into this idea today, first of all, to understand and to get a little bit of the excitement of what happened at Matan Torah, and to understand why everything in our lives is really surrounded by this night of Shavuot, by Matan Torah itself, and how the Arizal says that, like everything else in the world, that an auspicious time that we celebrate, it's never a commemoration. It's really something that a person feels right here and right now. It repeats itself to even a higher level than at the time of Matan Torah. And I want to start you off with a Midrash Rabbah in Shmot. Amar Rabbi Avu said in the Shem of Rabbi Yochanan, Keshenatan HaKadosh Baruch Hu Torah, when Hashem gave the Torah, Tzipor lo tziyetz, there was no bird, even the birds kept quiet. Of lo parach, the world came to a standstill. Birds weren't flying around. Shor lo ga'ah, nobody made noises. None of the animals. Ofanim lo afu, even the higher angels. Srafim lo amu kadosh. We know that in Shamayim, in the heavens, the same way that we say Nagdishach v'naritzach or Nekadesh et Shimcha according to your custom, and the angels in Shamayim, everything at the time of Matan Torah stopped, whether it was in the higher world, whether it was in the lower world. Ayom lo nizda'azeh. Ayam, even the ocean kept calm. Abriyot lo dibru, the whole world was at a standstill. Nobody even spoke. El ha'olam shotek umachrish. It was a moment in history, a moment in time where everything came to a stop because everybody was intensified. Everybody in the world wanted to know. Everybody in the world was waiting for this moment in order to know what was going to be. The whole world was relying on this moment about what the world is going to be. So that's what the Midrash Rabbah in Shmot says. Everything came to a standstill. Really, Matan Torah was only for the Jewish people. But the whole world stopped because everybody's life relied on the idea of Matan Torah. It relied on the acceptance of the Jewish people, because if the Jewish people would have not accepted the Torah, the whole world would have gone to Tov Vavoh. But like we know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu kafalem har kegigit, he picked up the mountain and he said to Am Yisrael, either you accept the Torah or sham tiye gvuratchem, or the world is over. Everything is coming to an end. It's all finished. So we have to understand, first of all, it seems a little bit drastic, why HaKadosh Baruch Hu is forcing the Jewish people when we know that the Jewish people said Naaseh b'nishma. And why is he forcing them to tell them that if you don't accept the Torah, the world's coming to an end. Everything is going back to Tov Vavoh. Everything that I've created, forget about all the 70 nations, forget about every other species in the world, forget about every human being. If you do not accept the Torah, the world is coming to an end. And we said that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we titled this shiur, we titled this lesson not for any other reason, but to understand that really, not only are we waiting for Shavuot night, Hashem himself is waiting for Shavuot night. Every year, HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself is waiting for Shavuot night, because every year a Jew has to accept anew the Torah that's coming down. And this Torah that comes down every year is really a new Torah. And what do I mean by new Torah? Chas v'shalom. It doesn't mean that the Torah that we have now is going to change. It means that we're getting a new light and we're getting new eyes to be able to get insight to the Torah that the world has never seen before. So to some extent, the person can think to himself, look, there were many great people and great rabbis before me, that if you ask them any question in all of the Torah, they would know the answer right away. And who am I, a person that's learning Torah or a person that's engaged, or I go to shiurim, I don't know anything, and where am I compared to them? To some extent, you're right. But on the other extent, the greatness of this generation is that the secrets that are coming down and the wisdom that is coming down in this generation wasn't even revealed maybe to only a select few from the generations before. So the world is at a standstill. Says Rabbi Natan, everybody waited for this day. We know that it says like this, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he says to Am Yisrael, Mashcheni acharecha narutza, the Jewish people told him, Amar Rabbi Meir, B'sha'ah shamdu Yisrael lifnei Har Sinai, at the time that Am Yisrael stood at Har Sinai in order to receive the Torah, Amar lahem HaKadosh Baruch Hu, ani noten lecha, I'm about to give you the Torah. I'm about to give you the vehicle that the whole world exists on. If it wasn't for the Torah, there would be no world, because we know that Istakel B'oraita V'bara Alma. HaKadosh Baruch Hu looked inside the Torah and he created the world. Says HaKadosh Baruch Hu to Am Yisrael, I want to give you the Torah, but I need co-signers, because I'm about to give you everything. I'm about to give you everything I own. I'm about to give you my whole self in its entirety. And I want you to bring me co-signers. And if you don't bring me a co-signer, I'm not giving you the Torah. Says the Kadosh Baruch Hu to Am Yisrael, Aviu li arevim tovim shtishmarua. I need to know that somebody is going to guarantee that you're going to guard this Torah. It's not enough that you're going to accept it. It's not enough that you're going to say Naaseh v'nishma. Bring me somebody that I have a guarantor that you're going to guard this Torah. You're going to learn this Torah. You know, the Rambam says something very interesting. He says, halacha in the Rambam, that every single person has to learn Torah, whether he's poor, whether he's not so smart, whether he's rich, whether he's a person that has yisurim, whether he has hardships, whether he has disabilities. Everybody has a portion in the Torah. Every single person has to be engaged in the Torah. And if you look at the Torah, the first question that a person gets asked when he goes to the Olam HaEmet, when he goes to the world after 120 years, the first question that they ask him is, Kavata itim la Torah. Did you set time for the Torah? What does that mean, did you set time for the Torah? And I want to tell you something, and this is just the beginning of the journey that we're about to take tonight, because I really want to show you that Pesach comes at Shavuot. That although Pesach passed, you didn't even start Pesach yet. Passover only gets its culmination. The beginning was in Pesach. But the culmination of Pesach is in Chag HaShavuot. You know, one of the names of Shavuot is Atzeret. What other holiday do we know that's called Atzeret? Shmini Chag Atzeret. Shmini Chag Atzeret is really the culmination of the beginning of Sukkot. So Chazal tell us that in the same way that Shmini Chag Atzeret is the culmination of Sukkot, that's how Kadosh Baruch Hu says to you at the end of Sukkot, look, we were together from Rosh Hashanah, and we had Yom Kippur, and we went through this beautiful idea of Sukkot. Now give me one more day where we could be just me and you. So think about how beautiful this is. Say the books as follows, that why is Shavuot called Atzeret? Because in the same journey that you took from Rosh Hashanah, remember you were judged on the body, that journey started in Pesach and it went for 49 days, and now comes Chag HaAtzeret. Chag HaAtzeret is Chag HaShavuot, it's the time of the giving of the Torah. Says the Kadosh Baruch Hu to you, in the same way that I asked you for one more day at the end of Sukkot, when we began the journey on Rosh Hashanah, I'm asking you for one more day. But this day, it's a day like no other. It's a day that ends what Pesach was. Remember that first night of Pesach where you skipped all the levels and a Kadosh Baruch Hu gave you a glimpse of who you could be? That is actualized on Chag HaShavuot. And we're going to see what it means to be actualized. What happens and why is it that really a Kadosh Baruch Hu is waiting for us and we're not waiting for him? So HaKadosh Baruch Hu says to Am Yisrael, I want to give you the Torah. I want to give you myself because we know that the Torah is the wisdom of Hashem. And when a person learns Torah, he's really learning God. He's learning HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So he says, I need co-signers because I'm about to give you myself. I need something to know. I need you to bring me a guarantor that you're going to keep it. Kam Am Yisrael Amru Lefanav. So the Midrash continues, Ribono Shel Olam, Master of the world, our forefathers are Avim Lani. We'll take Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov. Let them be our co-signer. Who better a co-signer than Avraham? So comes the Kadosh Baruch Hu and says, no, Avraham, I have a problem with him. Why? Remember Avraham Avinu, what he said? B'me'edah, how do I know that I'm going to inherit the land? Can't be Avraham. Says, so Am Yisrael told him, Ribbon Hashem, we'll bring our prophets. Said the Kadosh Baruch Hu, no, your prophets, Pashubi. They also went the wayward. So Am Yisrael says, we have one last thing. Banenu arevim, our children will be our co-signers. Says the Midrash, Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Vadai arevim tovim. For sure your children are great co-signers. Al yedem etnen alachem. If you put up your children as guarantors, for sure I'll give you the Torah. Dichtiv mi piolalim v'yonkim yosadet ha'oz ve'en oz el Torah. So what does this Midrash mean? HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes to Am Yisrael and he tells them, my children, I need you to bring me co-signers because if you don't bring me a guarantor, I can't give you the Torah. Am Yisrael comes, oh, Avraham Avinu, nah, not good enough. Yitzchak, our prophets, no. Who's HaKadosh Baruch Hu taking as a co-signer? The children of the Jewish people. What's the message of this Midrash? What is the Midrash trying to tell us? You know that some people have a minhag of reading Pirkei Avot from beginning of Pesach to Shavuot. So the Pirkei Avot says, Amar Rebbe, once Rebbe was walking, and he walked into a city, and these people told him, listen, Rabbi, if you come to our city, we'll give you all the greatest wealth in the world, gold and silver, everything, just come live in our city. Why? Because they saw that he was a great man of Torah. They wanted to learn with him. And they said, come to our city. We want you to be in our city. We want you to be the rabbi. You know what he answered them? He says, even if you gave me all the money, and all the greatest goodness in the world, the only place where I will find myself is a place of Torah. And we know that when Chazal speak to us, there's hidden messages. What are they trying to tell us? What's Chazal trying? Why couldn't Rebbe go to a place that he was about to teach Torah to the multitude? Why did he say, I'm not going to a place unless there's Torah? And we know Rabbi Yossi said about this day. Rabbi Yossi, the Zohar tells us, Amar Rabbi Yossi, Luleahu Yoma, the Gemara tells us, Rabbi Yossi said, if it wasn't for that day, if it wasn't for the day of Matan Torah, Kama Yossi Beshuka, how many Yossi will there be in the marketplace? What was Rabbi Yossi saying? Rabbi Yossi was telling us in a sense that if it wasn't for the day of Matan Torah, you know how many Rabbi Yossi there would be? Meaning, I would be nobody. And we know that the Torah scholars would never speak in a haughty way. What do you mean you would be nobody? Just because you're a great Torah scholar, it means that because you now received the Torah, and maybe because you excelled in the Torah, it means that you're a great person. If it wasn't for Matan Torah, there'd be many like you. What does that mean? You know, many times, what I like to do is that we read things, and we read them over and over, and we don't really know what they mean. So I want to look into tonight, what are all these things are really trying to teach us, and really the message of Matan Torah. The Amar Rabbi Yehuda Amarav, says Rabbi Yehuda Amarav, L'olam yasok adam b'torah v'mitzvot af al pi shelo lishmam. You should learn Torah, and even if the reason that you're learning Torah is not for the reason that you should know Torah, that you should keep Shabbat properly, that you should know how to put on your tefillin, that you should know how to treat another Jew, even if you learn it that somebody should call you a rabbi, you learn it because you want respect, you learn it because orach yamim b'yamina ve'osher kavod b'smola, because you want long life, you want wealth. We know that if a person learns Torah, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he finds favor in the eyes of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu makes his business dealing successful. But yet the Torah tells us, even if you're doing it for all those reasons, keep doing it. Why? Because really what's going to happen, that from the fact that you're learning Torah, somehow this knowledge, this wisdom is going to go inside of you, and it's going to cause an upheaval. It's going to change you. And whatever way you thought you were jumping into this pool of knowledge and whatever intentions you had, you're going to jump in one way, but you're going to come out another. Mitoch shelo lishma ba lishma. Says HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we know that when the time that HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted to destroy the Beit HaMikdash, HaKadosh Baruch Hu was willing to be mochel on avodah zarah, idol worship, gilui arayot, adultery, v'shfichut damim, and killing. HaKadosh Baruch Hu was willing to forgive the Jewish people for 3 cardinal sins, that the Torah says that if somebody tells you, worship an idol or die, you have to give up your life. Yet when it comes, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, I'm willing to forgo all those things. One thing I'm not willing to forgo, bitul Torah. If you waste time and you're not engaged in the learning of the Torah, and that I'm not willing to forgo. Says HaKadosh Baruch Hu, mutav azvu oti, better that you leave me, velo torati. Better that a Jew stops kaviyachol. He says to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, listen, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I love the Torah, I'm going to stick to the Torah, but I don't want to talk to you anymore. Let me just learn. Says HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that's better. I don't mind that. Better you leave me, says HaKadosh Baruch Hu, velo torati, but not my Torah. What does that mean? We throw around these sentences, we throw around these words, and we understand the magnitude of the night that we're about to go into. We understand that really at Matan Torah, it says, "V'ten chelkenu b'toratecha," give us your portion of Torah. And we said this midrash many times. Amar Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai says to you, listen, I'm going to tell you a secret, that at the time of Matan Torah, if one Jew was missing, HaKadosh Baruch Hu would have not given the Torah. If one Jew was missing, HaKadosh Baruch Hu would have not given the Torah. And then we're going to throw into this whole pile Megillat Ruth. What does Megillat Ruth have to do with the giving of the Torah? What does somebody who's a convert coming to the Jewish people have to do with the giving of the Torah? So I've thrown out at you a lot of questions. And I want to go one by one and try to answer these questions and hopefully give ourselves a way of going into this Chag of Shavuot and a way that we can experience and realize our importance. We know that, to add a little bit of another question, we know that if a person does a mitzvah, you do a mitzvah, we know that the Torah says, Kiner mitzvah v'Torah or, that a candle is related to a mitzvah. But when a person's engaged in Torah, when a person's learning Torah, that's or, that's light. What does that mean? We know that there's 613 mitzvot, and a person has 613 body parts. And every time a person does a mitzvah, he gives chiyut, he gives kedusha to that body part. But when he learns Torah, he's able to do it all at once, all on the 613 parts that compose a human being, that at once becomes godliness, becomes lit. And yet the Torah says like this, maybe a person went and did a mitzvah, and then a couple of days later he did an avera, he did a sin. So the Torah tells us it could be that sin distinguish the light that you did with the mitzvah. But what happens to the Torah learning of a Jew? When a Jew sits down and learns Torah, even if he sinned, the sin has no power on the Torah. Even if a person sins, but those hours of Torah that you sat down in your lifetime and you learned, no sin in the world can distinguish them. No sin in the world can erase that. A mitzvah, maybe you might have done a big sin. You could have erased the mitzvot that you've done. But when it comes to the learning of the Torah, that can never be erased. The learning of the Torah can never be erased. It's something that is stamped and sealed. A person can never erase it. Why is that? And we know that the Orach Chaim tells us something. He says, we all have to yearn for Mashiach. And really that's what, if you look at it, Megillat Ruth is really an idea of the bringing about of Mashiach. It's the bringing about of David HaMelech and the process that Ruth went to it. But yet we're expected to yearn for Mashiach. we're expected to really, what does it mean that a person yearns for something? It means that you had that experience and now you're longing for it. But how can any one of us long for Mashiach when we never experienced a world of Mashiach? None of us saw Mashiach. We don't know who Mashiach is. We don't know what the world will look like when Mashiach will come. We never yearn. We don't know what that means. So how can the Torah tell us that you have to yearn for this idea of Mashiach? You have to await Mashiach. It's one of the 13 fundamentals of a Jew. That if you don't yearn for Mashiach, it's like you're kafir ba'ikar. It's like you've lost out. But how can you yearn for something that you don't know about? You never experienced Mashiach. So I'm going to tell you the beauty of what I think that is the message here. Kadosh Baruch Hu says to Am Yisrael, the Tana de Veliel says the Kadosh Baruch Hu, lefi she'en lo menucha LaKadosh Baruch Hu ela im oseh Torah bilvad. You know when a Kadosh Baruch Hu gets appeased? You know when a Kadosh Baruch Hu gets satisfied? You know when he feels happy? When a person is engaged in Torah. So what's going on? We've thrown out a lot of these ideas, and we know that until the Torah came into the world, it says Olam Chesed Yibaneh. The world was living on Chesed, meaning Kadosh Baruch Hu sustained the world from His goodness. Once the Torah was given to the Jewish people, it's no longer Olam Chesed Yibaneh. The world now exists in the merit of the Torah. So I'm going to tell you like this. And I think there's a chidush here, there's an insight here that's really screaming at us. It's screaming at us and it's wanting us to understand it. And I think that when we understand this chidush, I think that we're going to go into Shavuot with a whole different understanding. Because we know that the Pirkei Avot says, Atahava v'akavod v'akina motzim et adam min ha'olam. When a person has jealousy, when a person desires respect, he desires glory, and when a person has a tava, he lusts for things, these things take out a person from the world. But says the Kadosh Baruch Hu, how do I rectify those three things that take you out of the world? Barati yetzera, barati lo Torah tavlin. I created something called the yetzera, which is the fake you. And I created something called Torah tavlin. What does it mean that the Torah is the spice for the yetzera? Because what is the yetzera's job to do? To constantly tell a Jew that do things that make you not you. Because we know that enach adam choteh elanim nichnesa bo ruach shtut. What does it mean that a person sins only if an evil wind went inside of him? What does that mean an evil wind went inside of you? So the Gemara asks, how can a person sin? Why is he punished? It wasn't you. There was a ruach tumah. There was an evil wind that came inside of you. And that evil wind made you sin. So why should it's not my fault? I didn't do it. The ruach tumah came inside of me. Oh, so the Gemara says, you know why you're punished? Not for the actual sin. Kipina libo me'Hashem. Because there was a moment, there was a span in time where you left an opening. You didn't think about a Kadosh Baruch Hu. And when you left that opening, the Yetzirah came inside. And now he controlled you. And now you sinned. What are you paying the price for? That you left the opening. But we have to understand, what is that opening? What does that mean that you left an opening? So we know that in all the holidays, there's a machloket. There is an argument between the Chachamim, whether are you supposed to spend the holiday totally immersed in Torah, or is the person supposed to spend the holiday also in rejoicing, eating, and being merry and enjoying his family? So in every holiday, Chachamim say, Chetzio lachem v'chetzio laHashem, half is to you and half is to Hashem. And some of our sages tell you, really, a holiday is supposed to be kula laHashem, because lo nitnu, the holidays were only given that Am Yisrael should be osek b'Torah v'mitzvot. But when it comes to Atzeret, when it comes to Chag HaShavuot, kulam, everybody agrees, de ba'ina nami lachem, that you need a time that's called lachem, that's called for you. So really you would think this is an oxymoron, because if any of the holidays that a person should be take away all the material from the world, should be what? Should be Shavuot, should be Matan Torah. But here in this holiday, all of the Chachamim come and tell us what? Lachem. No, you have to have a component that's called you, for you to enjoy. So what's going on? I know I keep building it up because I want you to understand the perplexion that I'm in, because none of this makes sense to me, because the Torah keeps building up the greatness of this day. And we know that the Orach Chaim says something unbelievable. The Orach Chaim says in Parshat Tetzaveh, I think, he says that you should know that Mashiach is not coming. Why is he not coming? Because he doesn't want to be Goel, he doesn't want to redeem a nation that's betalim in the Torah, a nation that takes themselves out of the Torah, that are not learning, that are wasting time. What does it mean Mashiach doesn't want to come? What, everybody has to become a Talmid Chacham all of a sudden? Everybody has to become a Torah scholar in order for Mashiach to come? That for sure can't be what it means. And furthermore, the Midrash says that when HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted to give the Torah to the Jewish people, he told Moshe Rabbeinu, Moshe, and this is something that the women have to understand. He told Moshe, go tell the men to ask the women if they accept it. I'm not willing to give the Torah unless the women accept it as well. Because we know that the men follow the women. And if the women don't accept the Torah, I'm not willing to give it to them. So, women don't really have a mitzvah of limud Torah. But really their role is a little bit more important. They don't have a mitzvah of limud Torah per se. They should learn Torah, and we're going to see tonight why the Torah learning is applicable to women, it's applicable to men, it's applicable to children, it's applicable to everybody. And everybody has to do it according to his proportion. Everybody has to have a relationship with the Torah, because the Torah says, "Ve'geta bo yomam v'layla." A person has to learn Torah day and night. And how can it be that a person has to be learning Torah day and night? So the Zohar tells us something unbelievable. So imagine a person sits and learns Torah. You open up a Gemara, or you open up something in whatever Kabbalah. You open up the Zohar and you start to read, and the whole time you're mumbling. So the Zohar says that when a Jew starts to read something and he's mumbling, he doesn't understand anything that he's saying, and he can't even read the words. It says for some reason, HaKadosh Baruch Hu gets the greatest joy. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he's so enamored with the fact that his children are engaged in Torah. So it comes out that the learning of Torah has nothing to do with whether even you understand it or you don't understand it. Etzem Adavar, the fact is that you're engaged in the Torah, that brings joy to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and we have to see why that is. And we know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu put us into this exile, leval idach mimenu nidach, because HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not willing to give up even upon one single Jew. If one single Jew doesn't make it, Hashem says, I'm not giving the Torah to the Jewish people. So what's the Torah? What's going on with the Torah? You know why HaKadosh Baruch Hu says to Am Yisrael, give me a guarantor? And the only guarantor that HaKadosh Baruch Hu was willing to accept, and this is the biggest chidush here. Rabotai, this is the biggest chidush. If you joined here for tonight, I want you to understand this, because this idea it's emet lamito, it's true. Why was the Kadosh Baruch Hu the only guarantor, not Abraham, not Yitzchak, not Yaakov, not the prophet? The only guarantor that a Kadosh Baruch Hu was willing to accept that the Jewish people would keep the Torah was their children. Why a child out of everybody else? So I'm going to tell you what I think, and I hope that it's true. Because you know what children are? They're real. They don't know how to lie. They don't know how to be anybody else. The beauty that we find in children is that they're natural themselves. They're nobody else but who they are. You know what a Kadosh Baruch Hu gave us a gift? You know what the Torah is? The Torah is your mirror. The Torah introduces you to you. That's why a Kadosh Baruch Hu says, I'm not willing to give the Torah unless every single Jew attends. That's why Mashiach says, unless all of Am Yisrael is engaged in the Torah, I'm not willing to redeem them. Why not? Because the Torah shows you who you really are. This Torah introduces you to the true you. That's what it means, Barati Yetzirah. What does the Yetzirah try to do? He tries to make you the fake you. But said the Kadosh Baruch Hu, no, I brought the Torah. I gave you the Torah. What are you showing? Hashem, please show me who I am. I want to know me. That's the beauty of the Torah. That was the whole purpose of Matan Torah, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu loves every single person. He wanted you to realize the real you. So when Am Yisrael says to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, who are we going to bring you as a guarantor? Oh, the children. You know I'll accept the children? Because a child doesn't know how to be anybody else but who he is. The Torah makes you who you are. The Torah shows you who you are. The Torah brings out your neshama. It brings out the true you. Because imagine, everybody should think about this. When you're sitting down, you're in the middle of a shir, you're in the middle of Gemara, whatever it is that you learn, all of a sudden your mind starts to work in a different way. And you're like, why don't I do this all the time? How come I'm not learning? What is that moment? That moment is where you're introduced to you. So you start to, wow, I like this person. I'm more sensitive. I'm more aware. I'm more calm. Once one of my Rosh Yeshivas told me something. I walked into yeshiva and I told him, Rabbi, it's great. You guys are great rabbis and everything. Let me ask you a question. Most people that come here, they're learning on, what do you think you do as a mechanech? What do you think you do as a teacher? What do you think you do as somebody who transmits the Torah? And he gave me an answer that will resonate with me for the rest of my life. You know what he told me? We just try not to interfere with the Torah. I said, what do you mean? He says, the Torah is not like any other knowledge. When Torah goes inside the person, it already does the job. It already takes anything. We're just trying not to get in between that transmission. That's why HaKadosh Baruch Hu waits for this day. Because you know what happens on Shavuot? You become the real you. You get a glimpse of who you really are. And that's who HaKadosh Baruch Hu loves. That guy that the Yetzer Hara controls, we don't want to deal with him. You know who HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants? He wants that person that's engaged in Torah. What does it mean that he's engaged in Torah? He wants the Jew that's thinking about another Jew. He wants the Jew that's full of chesed, that he's sensitive, that he's empathetic, that he has patience, that he's not allowing the material of the world to take him over. So when it comes to the Torah, that's why we read Megillat Ruth. Why are we reading Megillat Ruth? Because we're reading about a journey, about a woman that fought to become the real woman that she could be. She fought to become a Jew. Her whole struggle, she lost her husband. She went after her mother-in-law until she married an old man that after he was with her, he passed away. All why? She went through a journey to become the real her. And that's the birthright of Mashiach. The Torah is giving us insight. Look, Ruth. Why are you reading Ruth? You're reading about a convert at the time of Matan Torah. That's the Megillah that we should be reading. We should be reading maybe wisdom, Mishlei. Let's read the one of the books of Shlomo Melech, Kohelet. Out of all the Megillot that we're supposed to read in any other holiday, this is the Megillah that we're reading because we're reading about a person who took the journey to find the true self, to find the true woman that she was, to find the true human being that she was. And that's the engagement that we have with the Torah. The engagement that we have with the Torah. And this is why HaKadosh Baruch Hu waits. And this is why Atzeret is the culmination of Pesach. Because on Pesach night, we said you passed over. What did you pass over? You got a glimpse of the real you. You were able to see the real you. You want to become a tzaddik? No problem. You were able to be free because en ben chorim ela mi shosek b'Torah. How do I get out of those shackles? How do I get out of those things that are stopping me? My mitzarim, my mitzrayim. How do I get out of that? Ela mi shosek b'Torah. When a person is osek b'Torah, when his esek, when his business is the Torah, you become the real you. That's your state of happiness. Pikudei yesharim. The Torah is Pikudei Yesharim Mesamchei Lev. They rejoice you. Why? Because the Torah shows you the real you. Hashem waits every single year. He says, my children, I just want you. I want the real you. And that's why you see, what months was the Torah given in? The months of Sivan. And we know the astrological sign of the months of Sivan is what? Twins. What are twins? They're exactly the same. And we said this before. What happens? The Torah shows you who you really are. You're at Tselem Elokim. Ki Elokim atem. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, when He gave you the Torah, He wanted to make you godly. B'mamlechet kohanim v'goy kadosh. You become holy. It's a twin. You become godly. You become the real you. You become the whole purpose that HaKadosh Baruch Hu was giving the world was that a Jew should know who he is. Leval idach mimeno nidach. That's the reason that HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, I wait for this every year. That's why we know that the Torah, when Mashiach comes, how do you yearn for Mashiach? We ask this question. How do I yearn for something I don't know about? Oh, you know what happens in the days of Mashiach? HaKadosh Baruch Hu takes the Yetzer Hara and He slaughters him. What does that mean in other words? There's nothing interfering from you becoming you. So we really taste that every year on Shavuot. Says the Berditchever Rebbe, the Kedushat Levi. You know how you know what it is to be Mashiach? You know why you're demanded to yearn for Mashiach? Because in Matan Torah, when a person learns Torah, that's Mashiach. When a person's able to learn Torah and he gets introduced to the real self, because at the time that a person learns Torah, there is no Yetzirah. Barati Yetzirah, barati lo Torah tavlin. When I created this powerful Yetzirah that makes you the fake you, I created something to contradict that, and that's the Torah. So you know that when you get the Torah, and especially at Matan Torah, we know that Paskal Zu Matan, Am Yisrael no longer had their Zuma. A person that was handicapped no longer became handicapped. Everybody was healthy. Everybody became the primordial you. That's Mashiach. When Mashiach comes, there's not going to be any more masks. It's very interesting that we're all walking around with masks these days. But when Mashiach comes, there's not going to be any more masks. There's not going to be any more facades. A person is going to be the real him. He's going to be the real Jew. And you're going to rejoice because your insides, your sensitivities are going to come out. Your goodness is going to come out. There's nothing that's going to be stopping you from that person. That's why a ta'ava, when a person lusts for something and he runs after honor, vakina, and you're jealous, those things, motziim et ha'adam min ha'olam. What world are they taking you out of? They're taking you out of the world of you. They're taking you out of becoming the real you. So on Shavuot night, this most auspicious night, you know what the judgment is? How much of you do you want to be for the following year? That's the beauty of the giving of the Torah. That's why a person says, Hashem, misheba lekan v'talmudo beyado. What does it mean that we praise a person for coming and his Torah knowledge is in his hand? It's more than just knowing the Torah. It's that how much of you were you throughout your life? You know, it says by Zucha. Zucha was one of the great Chachamim. He says, you know, when I come to Olam Haba, when I come to the world to come, I'm not afraid that they're going to ask me if I was Rabbi Akiva. I'm afraid that they're going to ask me if I was Zusha. Were you the best Zusha you could have been? How much did you know yourself? How much were you aware of who you were? How much did you let the Yetzirah lead your life? Were you leading your life, or was the Yetzirah leading your life? That's the beauty of Matan Torah. That's why HaKadosh Baruch Hu waits for this day, because he wants a real relationship. He wants to know the real you. And that's why the whole world was silent, because the whole world waited for this moment that this nation, Am Yisrael, became Am Yisrael, that this nation became the real people of who they are, a light onto the nation. And that's why HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, better you leave me, v'lo Torati. Better you leave HaKadosh Baruch Hu, not the Torah. Why? Ki ama'or sheba yachzireu lemutav. The light of the Torah will bring you back to goodness. What goodness? The light of the Torah will bring you back to the real you. And you know that when Am Yisrael got the Torah, what did it say? They went back to the level of Chet Adam Rishon. Before Adam Rishon sinned, they went back to that level. What does the Kadosh Baruch Hu tell Adam Rishon after he ate from the tree? You know what he says to him? Ayeka, where are you? Ayeka, where are you? Adam, you lost who you were. Adam Rishon, you lost who you were. You went off the path. You let the Yetzirah in. You became the fake you. You let lies. You let another person become who you were. But when Am Yisrael received the Torah, they became Adam Rishon Kodem Achet. They became the real them. That's Matan Torah. On the night of Shavuot, we're really asking Kadosh Baruch Hu to give us the Torah. But what are we asking Kadosh Baruch Hu? In other words, Kadosh Baruch Hu, show us who we are. And I give you a blessing. And it says, Al tihi berkat ejot kala b'necha. A simple person's blessing shouldn't be taken lightly. And the Chatam Sofer that says that when a Jew gives a blessing, there's no such thing as a simple Jew. And I wish this upon all of us, that we become the real true people that we are. The people that are full of passion, are full of compassion, are full of love for each other. And we take away all those masks. And the only pursuit that we should have is the pursuit of Torah, the pursuit of becoming the real people that we are, the transmission of the light of HaKadosh Baruch Hu onto the other nations. And I wait and rejoice, and you have to think about this as it might sound silly. Stand at Har Sinai in a couple nights. We're all going to stand there. We're all going to be together. Ke'ish echad belev echad, with one purpose, becoming our real self. I wish you a Chag Shavuot Sameach, and I wait for you at Har Sinai.